Hello, welcome to Advanced Manufacturing Live. I'm SME Media Senior Editor Michael McConnell. Today we're talking to Heidi Balestrieri, the Engineering Director at Century Equipment in Wisconsin. We're going to talk to Heidi about her experiences in the male-dominated world of manufacturing and why she has made it her mission to introduce girls and young women to the opportunities available in the manufacturing industry. Heidi, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me.
We really appreciate you taking some time to talk to us today. So please tell me a little bit about yourself and your current position at Century.
Yeah, so I'm married to my husband, who's also an engineer, and we have two kids, Rose and Lily, who are 21 and 18. And I work at Century Equipment. Century is where I lead a team of engineers that creates engineered-to-order solutions for customers around product sampling, systems like power plants, oil and gas processing facilities, and food and beverage industries.
Okay. And we'll get into this a little bit, but was engineering something you always wanted to go into, did you think about doing other things, as you were growing up?
Yeah, so I think it was always at the back of my mind that engineering was something that I should probably go into. But I also thought about being a teacher. I thought about going into history, but then I realized the only thing I could do with history major was be a teacher, and then I didn't really want to be a teacher. So I really liked that engineering allowed me to solve problems and to use some of that math ability that I had. So like I said, it was always in the back of my mind, but kind of had pushed it aside at a few times in my life, and then it came back up.
Well, I know I interviewed you for our states of the manufacturing industry, our profile we did in our June, July issue about all the great manufacturing around the country. Profiled you for Wisconsin, and you had told me you had a special experience growing up that really made you think about going into this field.
Yes. So when I was in junior high, so my dad was a college professor, not strictly in engineering, but he took our family on all the tours that his students were going on. So we got to do a lot of tours around the upper Midwest and into Michigan a little bit too. And one of those really stuck out to me. So as a junior high, we went to visit a lawnmower factory, and somewhere on the tour, I couldn't even tell you too much about it because it's so long ago now, but somewhere on the tour, we went through this one area where they were doing testing of the lawnmowers. So they would take the lawnmowers, have the blades running, and they would be shooting like nails and rocks and stuff into the lawnmower and see where they would land on a piece of cardboard to see how high up, because there was some sort of standard that it couldn't go too high up to injure somebody. And I remember lingering in this like lab area to watch this and watching flying projectiles, which I guess was kind of fun as a middle school student, and thought it was really interesting. And my dad's like, well, it's an engineer who designs this test and who's going through and making sure that it's safe, and then also designing the equipment, the lawnmower itself, so that it's safe. And I thought that was just so neat. So when I was in high school and having to decide what I wanted to do as a career, that's something that kept coming back to me, and realized that was something that I was really passionate about, and really thought was great. So decided to go into engineering, and then didn't know what kind of engineering I wanted to go into. So I entered college as a general engineering student.
Okay. And what during the course of your college career did you figure out a path, or did it just kind of come to you?
Yeah, so I went to North Dakota State University in Fargo, and they had all the general engineering students take a class, and it ended up being taught by the dean of the college, who really just was doing kind of a taste test, I'd say, of all the different types of engineering. So we got to do a little bit of everything and understand a little bit of all of them, and also just general college skills.
Sure.
and through that, there were things I was like, oh, definitely don't want to do that. Definitely don't want to do that. And then really narrowed it down to mechanical engineering is where I wanted to be. And really glad I made that choice because mechanical engineering has just so many different opportunities in it. And there's so many things you can do with that degree. It's not limited.
Do you run any tests on lawnmowers or no?
No.
Okay.
It's really funny that was like what really got me into it, and I've never had that opportunity to do something like that. I've done little tests, but nothing like that. No flying projectiles for me.
Okay. Um, uh, Now, when you started out in the industry, after college, was were you aware that women were not particularly common in engineering and manufacturing?
I think I was, but it was still a little bit of a shock going into industry and realizing that how few women there were. In the design engineering, the company I first started at,
Hmm.
there were three product groups in that company, and none of them had female design engineers. There were female engineers in manufacturing, in supply chain, a lot of other areas, but not in the design engineering when I first started. So it was a little bit of a shock. I expected a little bit more than that, but I also knew that it wasn't going to be 50-50, that it was going to be a low
Right.
number.
Yeah. Did you set a goal to try to break through that ceiling or to get yourself into those positions?
Uh, I guess I set a goal to stay in design engineering. That
Hmm.
was one thing that I really wanted to do, is just keep that to stay in design engineering, because that was what I had found I liked through doing internships and co-ops.
Okay.
Um, but didn't really think about too much about breaking any ceilings or anything, and
Okay.
kind of that came along as my career progressed.
Okay. Um, so you realize that women were pretty rare in this field. Did do you did you think about why that was?
Uh, think Probably at the time, yeah. It's been
Yeah,
so long.
sure.
So
Understand.
I'll say that yes, I did think about it a little bit. I think part of it is just not seeing representation,
Hmm.
not seeing women engineers around. I mean, there weren't. I didn't see them very much in industry, but I also didn't see them growing up as much either. So
Okay.
I think that's probably something that I recognize now that I didn't see that, and so that's one of the reasons that I'm really committed to going out and being visible as a woman engineer.
We're gonna get into that. Was there any? Did you feel there was any stereotyping going on when you were a young person in your career? Did you feel that at all?
I did. So the first company I worked at after college, when I came into design engineering, I was told, like I said, there weren't any other women in design engineering. They said, "Oh, you weren't going to be here very long.
Mm,
All the women design engineers that come in or go to manufacturing within 3 months." And so I guess to your point about a goal, that was my
yeah.
goal, was to last longer than 3 months in design engineering at that company. And I did. I was there for almost 6 years. So um and in that time there were other women who started in design engineering. So I really felt like that was a great thing. I mean, to have, is that I think there were at least three other women in design engineering by the time I left.
Did that person that made that comment to you come back and say, "Nope, I was wrong. You were here. You are."
No, but I still worked with him, and
Okay.
so I just kind of kept being there, kept persisting. There was a time where I was actually moved to the manufacturing group for a short stint, and I think that there was like kind of like the, oh yeah, see, this is what I said, but then I came back, so they could get rid of me.
um, you kind of like what that person had said to you. Some people might have just accepted that this is not a field that there's going to be very many, it's going to be male dominated, not going to be many women in positions. Uh, but you didn't accept that. You thought that something could be different.
Yeah, I was always looking at it and saying, we'll get to have more women in engineering and manufacturing, and looked for ways to increase that. I was part of Society of Women Engineers in
Okay.
college, and kept being a part of it once I was a professional, and I'm still part of it.
Yeah.
And just found that it's very useful in having that network of women that I can talk to who are also engineers, and find out things that they've learned over the years, and um, yeah, and help in that persistence and grit and staying.
Well, part of what we're talking about here is your work as a mentor. Were you fortunate enough to have mentors as you're starting out in your career coming up?
Yeah, I would say that my first mentors were my parents, my mom and dad, and they always encouraged me. My mom would say that when she wasn't the greatest at math, but she was the one who helped me with calculus. My dad knew calculus and he would help me too, but when he wasn't there, my mom, who didn't know calculus, was helping me, and always encouraging me to do my best. Um, Other mentors I had, so the dean of the College of Engineering, who taught that first class, that general engineering class, Dr. Helwig, he was a great mentor. He encouraged me throughout my career, and it was really satisfying to shake his hand when I graduated. I've had other teachers as great mentors, and then supervisors as well. So I've had some really great supervisors who have taught me different things about being an engineer, and in figuring that out, and how to be a supervisor as well. And then I've had a lot of peer mentors too. So um, peers who just have, we've helped each other. Maybe sometimes they've had a little bit less experience than me. Sometimes they've had more, and just helped me out, and learning about manufacturing, about engineering, and giving me tips, and telling me that I need to go and learn more about welding. So
Um, when did you start thinking about trying to bring more women into the industry? I mean, obviously, I'm sure you're very busy in your regular day jobs, for lack of a better term, but you do this.
yeah, it's thinking about this question, and I was like, oh, I can't even really pinpoint a specific time. I think part of it was probably formed back when I was a student, and I was going to like expanding your horizons, or different programs that were geared towards women to learn about STEM fields, and realizing that when I was a college student and I was leading Girl Scout events and different things, that was kind of me giving back for those events that I'd gone to as a young girl, and realizing that this can change people's trajectories of life. So it's been something that just kind of has come naturally, and something I've continued from college on. And then I think I've increased it a little bit more in the last few years, just because I have a little bit more time, with
Okay.
my kids being older, and
Hmm.
um, being more self-sufficient. I can spend a little bit more time doing that, and having more access to mentoring programs.
So when did you? So I guess how many years ago did you morph into the outreach queen, to use the term that you used when we talked?
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of one of those terms that just sort of naturally occurred. That's a term that my Society of Women Engineers of Wisconsin started giving me because I was doing so much outreach. I think I added it up earlier this year, and there was about 8,000 students uh, that I've somehow interacted with outreach in Wisconsin in the last uh, probably 10 years or so. So
And as the image on the screen there, are the you speak to all ages?
All ages. So I recently did an event where we were working with first grade students all the way up to fifth grade students. The picture was from middle school students. Um, they uh, they have to come up with an extremely complicated machine and to do a simple task. And so they're showing me, she's showing me what that task was that she was doing and how it worked and what their most innovative step is. So I've also talked to high school students and to college students, mentored first Lego League teams. This is the first Lego team I mentored.
That's great. What are the type of questions that you get from? I'm sure you talk to all ages. It's all because you as in your mentorship work. What kind of questions are you typically getting from young people about the field?
They want to know more about it, about what I do on a day-to-day basis. Some want to know just, so I hear engineer, what does that actually mean? I don't get the question that, I think we used to get a lot more was, do you drive a train? That you don't get that as much.
Okay.
But there's a lot of questions about it, and is it dirty? Is manufacturing dirty? And it's really not dirty. I
Right.
feel like I work in one of the cleanest facilities outside of a clean room that there is at Century. It's not dirty at all. There are places that are dirty, but Century isn't one of them. I get a lot of questions about what do I do? And then do you want me to talk about the question that?
Yeah, you know what? We'll talk about that now. When I was doing research before we talked, I had read an interview you done with another publication about this, and you were speaking to a Girl Scout troop or a Brownie troop or something in that
Yeah,
nature.
I was speaking to a Girl Scout troop in Wisconsin, I think 6 years ago or so, and there were four of us women engineers who were speaking to them, and we were talking about engineering and what we do and how we enjoy engineering. And one little girl said, "Can boys be engineers too?" And the four of us just looked at each other like, "Oh wow, this is really different." Yes, boys can be engineers too. It's not just for girls, but we'll be here talking about girls, and we still I
It's
caught
funny.
up with one of them just last year, and she brought it up too. She's like, "Yeah, remember that Girl Scouts group where they asked if boys could be engineers?" That's got to be the best overall question I've ever been asked.
Yeah, well, that's her perspective. She was in a room full of women engineers, so that makes
Right.
sense. Yeah, yeah. That is a great story. Um, you said you've spoken in a lot of schools. You speak at colleges too. Do you get up into that age range?
Yeah, occasionally we get to colleges doing like panel discussions talking about engineering in the after college and what it's like.
Mhm.
Um, but I've been mostly focused on the younger grades,
Okay.
kindergarten through 12th grade.
Yeah. Have you been able to follow up with some of the young people you've spoken to and see if some of them do, you know, pursue that as a career path?
There are some that do pursue it. It's interesting. I've come across them in scholarship applications.
Ah,
So are going through scholarship applications and seeing some of the certificates listed, and they're ones that Society of Women Engineers has sponsored that I was part of. So it's interesting to see them full circle
yeah.
looking at it. A lot of times I don't get a chance to follow up with them, but it's still interesting to find out where they're at and what they're
Yeah.
doing, and that they've at least had that exposure.
And you played a role in that, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, well, at your current employer, Essentially Equipment, when we spoke also before, you had mentioned that they have a number of women that are in management positions, and they try to have a diversity of workers and opinions there.
Yes, we have quite a few women in management positions. So we kind of the middle management area. There's quite a few of us. The operations manager in one of our locations is a woman, and actually two different locations is a woman. We also have women who lead our customer advocate groups and lead the purchasing groups as well. So we have quite a few women and diversity. So it's really nice to have that diversity in that group of managers.
Sure. Um, have you been pleased with the results that of your efforts that you've worked hard on this? Have you been pleased to see more women expressing an interest, more women going into to the manufacturing industry?
Yes, it's really great. It's interesting going into colleges and recruiting for Century at career fairs and sometimes there's stories that I hear that I was like, oh, that just make me sad. There was one that I just heard this earlier this year who she's in engineering now, but she didn't go into engineering originally because she was told by her counselor that she should go into in college, she should go into the classes that she enjoyed the most, and she really enjoyed literature. And she
Okay.
said, well, that would be really great.
Yeah.
She went into literature and said, okay, so what am I doing here? And then really looked back at it and said, well, engineering is a much better fit for me because yes, I like literature. I like reading too, but
Yeah.
that's not necessarily the best place for jobs or for this individual, at least for a job for her. And she was really looking for something where she could use her problem solving techniques and looking at using something else that she was good at, math and science, and going into engineering. So she's looking for an engineering job, and that was really interesting. But yeah, it's great that people are considering it more and coming into engineering more. I think it's being a recruiter, I see a lot more women applying than I did before. Just in general, it's interesting just to see those trends and see them increasing and seeing the pool of applicants increase.
So the stereotyping that you encountered starting out in your career, hopefully it's not happening at the same level today.
Yeah, I would say that it's not. I mean, there's probably still some out there, but
Sure.
it's definitely gotten a lot less.
Um, I've done some reading that said roughly about 30% of workers in the manufacturing industry are women. Um, that's better than some fields. Is that a much larger number than when you were starting out? Do you know?
I think it is. I think it is a lot larger. I just anecdotally, you see just a lot more women on the manufacturing floor in all positions, and I think that's a really good thing. I know in engineering specifically that it's raised about 4 percentage points since I started in the industry.
Okay.
So I think it's getting better, but we still have a ways to go.
Are you optimistic that the numbers will continue to go up?
I am. I think that there is a lot of opportunities, and I think that people are seeing more of those opportunities available to them and looking for them as well.
Oh, that's great. Well, is there anything else you wanted to mention, Heidi? Anything else about your experiences in the industry?
Um, yeah, I'd say that it's great that there are so many women now who can be those mentors, and that's something that I really enjoy doing is being a mentor for other young women in the industry and for younger women as well. to just see what possibilities there are. I've had some great people who have talked to me about their experiences, and I would like to pass that on to others.
Well, Heidi, thank you so much again for talking to me about this today. I think this is fascinating, and it sounds like you're doing some really great work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that's the end of this episode of Advanced Manufacturing Live. Thank you everyone for watching. Remember to visit advancedmanufacturing.org to keep up on everything manufacturing. I'm SME Media Senior Editor Michael McConnell, and we'll see you on the next episode of Advanced Manufacturing Live.